Hello, this is Ashi from Crafting with Ashi and welcome to this video. This is the card I wanted to show you today. It's all coloured in using our watercolour pencils, but I've actually just used the pencils by themselves without blending with water. So I've actually just layered the colours down and blended them together with each other, but I haven't actually used water. I just wanted to show you how you can use your watercolour pencils in more than one way. So there's a lot of colouring here to do, so I'm not going to do all of the colouring. I'm just going to show you how I blended the colours on the Mallard here and on one or two of the flowers, etc., and show you the technique, and then you could make it yourself. I am going to use some shimmery white cardstock here, and this piece measures 14.35 centimeters by 10 centimeters. And this is the stamp set I use called Field Journal, which I love. I absolutely love the Mallard. I used this stamp here, this one, and the sentiment here as well. Now, if you were going to stamp this to colour it in and blend your colours with water, then you would need to stamp it using StazOn ink. But since I'm not using StazOn, I can use my favourite black, which is Memento. Obviously, if you wanted to colour this in somehow using alcohol markers, then you'd also use the Memento. So let's just ink up our Mallard here. We're just going to stamp Mr. Mallard down here, because I've made him a Mr. Okay, and then I'm just going to take my simple chamois here that I keep in this stamp case and clean up my stamp and get rid of him, and then I'm going to bring in one of these flower ones here, stick that on my block, and then ink this up as well. And then I'm just going to stamp it once and then stamp it again. Nearly did it upside down there, that would have been useful. Wow. So stamp it again like that. Okay, so there I've got those two. Let me just clean this off quickly. There we go. And get rid of that. I think while I've got them here, I'm actually going to stamp the little berries as well. So let me just get those out. It was this one here. Ink it up again with my Memento. And then I'm just going to line it up here in the corner. Some of it will come off the cardstock, it just gives it more interest. There we go. And there you can see our card taking shape. So get those out of the way. Bring back my watercolour pencils, and I've got them here in my lovely Hogwarts case. And these are both sets 1 and 2. So we've got them here, and first thing I'm going to do before I start any colouring is I'm going to pick out a few colours that go together. So these are three of the greens I used. So that's Old Olive, Garden Green and Granny Apple Green. And then I'm also going to add to these colours here for the water. For the Mallard, which was Coastal Cabana and Bermuda Bay. And then these are the blues that I'm going to put together. And so you can see what I'm doing. I'm putting things together in colour families. So it can help me to colour in more easily. I'm going to keep them together there, as you can see, in those colour families. So I don't know how well you can see that on the camera, but there you go, in the colour families. So I'm going to start off with my lighter colour here. I'm going to do some of the leaves, and it's always a case with when you're colouring or painting, less is more, and you want to build up the layers of colour and build up the layers of interest and depth and texture. So you don't want to go hard in like this, you just want to lay down a little bit of colour on the top, and I'll show you here. on the leaf. So I'm just going to, and you tend to colour with the side, you're not going to colour like this with the point. You get a much flatter edge colouring from the side, and you get a much better, you get less harsh and stark lines. See, you can see there. I'm just going to, I think I'll just zoomed you in a little bit so you can maybe see a bit better. So you can see there, I've coloured in just a little bit there. And then I think I want a little bit of darker green here at the base. So I'm going to add a little bit here of my garden green just around the base of the leaf, and then I'm going to blend that out again using my old olive. And you basically just keep going over it until you find something that you're happy with. So we're going to go back to the garden green again, just to give it a bit more. Now I know at the front here I want a little jazz of something brighter, so I'm adding here some of my granny apple green, and then I'm going to use again my old olive to blend everything out again. And I think I want a bit more granny apple green here. I want more of a hit of colour at the front. And you can see here how we've got the different, I don't know how well you can see on the camera, but you can see how you've got the different colours going on there and how they blended into each other, and that's what you're trying to achieve. So let me do a flower, and here I'm just going to use a yellow, and I don't know what this is, Daffodil Delight, and again I'm just putting down a faint first layer of yellow, and then I'm going to use, this is Pumpkin Pie, just to put a little line in each petal of something more, and then using my Daffodil Delight I'll blend it out again. So you've got there, you can see the differences. Okay, so let's do actually one of these what you call it, berries. Let's bring in some colours for that. So we've got real red here, and I've got cherry cobbler, and I think that's what I'm going to use, just the real red and cherry cobbler, with they're very small areas. So I'm just going to again put down a light go of real red. Then I'm going to take my cherry cobbler and I'm going to darken the one side where the natural shading will be, and then blend that out into the other side. So you can see there, you can see how you can use your pencils, and you don't have to use them with watercolour, just use them as normal colouring pencils, and it works really well. So for my Mallard, I'm going to show you, I just put down a very light colour here of Bermuda Bay, like that, and then I'm going to blend it out using my garden green. Okay, and then maybe go back with some Coastal Cabana to give it a more of a bluey greeny feel. You see how I'm not sticking to one colour or not putting one heavy layer down. I'm building up my layers and my depth, and this way you have much more control over what you're doing, and you can decide, you know, how much you want of one colour or the other. And that's how I managed to achieve the colour of his beak. So let's do some more here on our what do you call this one, a Mallard, and I'm going to do just a little bit here on his here. And you can see even with the few colours we do have, because we don't have all of our 50 colours, as you know, in our watercolours. We only have a small selection, but you can see here, even with just the small selection we have, how much you can actually achieve. So I've put down a layer here of early espresso, and then I'm going to add a little highlights in here with some Cajun craze, and go back then to my early espresso just to blend it out and give a much more seamless transition from one colour to the other, just like that. Okay, and even here for his the rest of him, which was meant to be sort of a lighter colour, I used just some basic grey, which you can see here that I'm just laying down the colour. You can see again I'm not colouring with the tip, just with the side of the pencil, and you get a much softer laying down of the colour this way, and you can see. And then with this I actually blended it out using my white pencil just to blend it out a bit like that. Okay, so that's how I did the colouring. Oh, let me do the beak, and then you can see what I did with the beak. So I'm going to again put down some yellow to get a nice bright beak, and then I wanted just down the top here just a hint of something darker, so I'm going to add a little bit of the orange and then blend those two together with my yellow. Okay, so I hope that's given you some idea of how to colour with your watercolour pencils, and you basically just keep on going until you achieve that. Oh, let me show you, actually before I finish, let me show you the water, what I did, because this is a real mixture of colours of the water. I used as my base some balmy blue, and I'm not going to do this very well here because I'm just showing you, and because I've got quite a wide area to cover, you can see I've changed the hold on my pencil. So I'm just going to show you here. I put some colour down, building it up where I wanted. Then I added some Pacific Point, which is the next darkest one I've got. And here I put that where his legs are going into the water a bit. Blending that out a bit. And then where they do go into the water, definitely I added in just a little bit here of some Night of Navy, and then I went back to my balmy blue and used that to blend everything out like that. And then to get these highlights of the water that you can see here, these differences in colour, I actually added a little bit of yellow, because yellow and blue together will make green. So where there are gaps here and there's still white, you'll see some yellow, and where it mixes with the blue you'll see a little bit of green, and this looks like the reflections from overhead trees or algae on the water as well, like that. And then if you want, you can also add a little bit of brown, because quite often you see a little bit of brown in the water, maybe from some silt that's been brought up to the surface, and that's how you do the water to get that effect that I have here. So then I finished all the colouring, and then I just put it onto a Seaside Spray card base, and this is a standard A6 card base. That's an A4 sheet cut in half and then folded in half, and I just stuck these together using some snail like that, and that's how we made that card. So I hope you liked the project. I hope I was able to show you a new way to use your watercolour pencils. If you enjoyed the project, I'd be grateful if you could give it a thumbs up so YouTube know, and don't forget to subscribe to future videos. If you want any information about the card, supply list, it'll be on my blog post, and the links to that and all my social media links are in the description box below. So thank you once again, and until next time, enjoy being creative. Bye!